Hi, my name is Edna Sadberry, and I work with folks who are dealing with trauma. Mostly I deal with folks who are dealing with multi-generational trauma. What that means is that your parents, parents, and their parents, I'm talking about the trauma that's been passed down through the generations, through your family's history, through their stories. And I work with people to address that trauma and get to the root of why that trauma is still being passed along. And sometimes we don't know that we're coming from trauma. Sometimes we're not aware that we've just normalized things like anxiety. When you feel anxious, feeling anxious is about the future, when you don't know what the future holds. Depression is another thing. Depression is coming from the past, some things that's happened to you in the past and you're still holding on to, and that's the piece of multi-generational trauma that I'm talking about. Sometimes your parents don't know that they still hold sadness or hurt feelings around something that happened to them when they were younger, and they continue to hold that without talking about it, without talking about their feelings around that. And everybody has something that's happened to them in their lives that they felt sad about or they felt angry about, and they just don't know what to do with it. They don't know how to talk about it. Basically what I'm talking about is self-care, especially right now when things seem so not normal, when things seem so out of balance right now because there's so much going on. Right now we're being advised to stay home, to stay safe. It's very frustrating, and it's aggravating, and it makes you angry because you don't know what to do. You don't know what to do. And these systems, we're taught that, most people are taught that you go to the police for help. So when you see a policeman, someone that is supposed to help you, when you see a policeman doing something that's wrong and that hurts someone else, it's hard to try to figure out what that means. It's hard to try to understand what you're supposed to think about that. So I want to talk about the big feelings sometimes that come up when you see things that don't make sense or that scare you. You have big feelings about them, and some of us don't have a place to talk about those big feelings because the people around us may be having big feelings also, and they may not know how to talk about their feelings. Fear gets people to say and do things that they wouldn't normally do. Fear makes people not remember that we're all human. So fear makes us do some really crazy stuff. So to keep myself from getting so afraid about what's happening, I have to not talk about what's happening every day because that's depressing. And I don't want to be depressed because sometimes it's hard to get out of depression. It's hard to stop feeling sad. So some of the things I do to keep myself from being taken over by the sadness is I play games. This is a game I used to play when I was young, and I love this game, and I've never stopped playing it. And believe me, I'm way past the time where you think you should stop playing kids games. I don't believe that. I think if something brings you joy, I think if these kids games brings you joy, then you should continue to play those games because you get to decide what makes you happy. Okay? So these are jacks. It's just a little ball. These are gigantic. They didn't have these when I was growing up with them. The jacks were metal and they were a lot smaller, but these are the jacks, and you've got a little ball. And I'm not sure if folks are still playing this game, but this is a simple game that I used to play when I was younger, and I still play today. I will sit on the floor and I will play my jacks, and it puts me in a peaceful place that I'm able to let go of some of the frustrations and the scared feelings that I have. Another thing I do that I used to do when I was younger is I have a coloring book. Now, they have adult coloring books, and they're not as much fun. There's a lot of different, shapes and things in adult coloring books. They're not as much fun as the books that I had as a kid, which I can still get those books now. But I've got my really super duper pointy coloring pens, and I take out my coloring book and I'll just sit quietly and color. And when I'm coloring, my mind can relax and I don't have to focus. I don't have to think about what's happening out here so much, because the more I think about it, the more afraid I get. So I have to find things to help me relax. Another game that I played when I was a kid, and I still play it, I love it, is Uno. I still play this game, and I still have my tactics and things, so I love Uno. Another way, if I'm not able to talk about my big feelings with other people, if they don't understand or they don't want to listen or whatever it is, they're dealing with their own stuff and they might not have the space, or they might not even want to talk about it at all. So if I can't talk about my big feelings, I have a journal. I have used a journal since I was 10 years old, I believe. I've been writing my feelings down since I was young. And I have stacks of journals throughout the years. And sometimes I go back and I look at what I wrote during that time, or during a time where I was struggling, or during the time where, those big feelings were way too much for me to talk about or look at or even think about. And I go back and I read my journals, and it helps me to understand that even though I was going through some big things at the time, it didn't last forever. Whatever was happening didn't last forever. And I didn't know that at the time. At the time, it felt like, it's going to be here always, or I'm going to always be scared or whatever. But writing helped me to release those fears. And going back and reading them helps me understand that, even though I was in that place before, there are things that I can do to help myself to be able to thrive even when there's chaos going on around me. You can talk to a trusted adult about your big feelings. They can sometimes help you manage them, help them not be so scary. So find yourself a trusted adult and talk to them about your feelings. And even if you don't know what you're feeling, just talking to someone, just saying, I'm sad right now, that starts the conversations. Okay, what are you sad about? Well, I don't know what to do. I feel like I should be doing something because everybody is so angry right now, and there's so much hate and fear right now. So just talking about that. And most times there's nothing we can do about what someone else is feeling. You just have to decide, no matter what's going on, you get to decide how you're going to feel about it. And listen to your body, listen to your feelings, because we all know what it is we need to help make us feel safe. So listen to your body. When I'm calm, I can think clearly, and I don't go off angry or trying to destroy something. I have to sit and think about my feelings, feel my feelings. My feelings are fine. My feelings are okay, and I need to know how to continue to move forward even with these big feelings that I have. So these are some of the ways that I do that. And another thing, water. I have to drink more water. I have to keep myself hydrated and keep myself healthy physically, because when you're healthy physically, your mind is clear. You're clear with your thinking. Also, another physical piece is to make sure you're getting enough rest. Sleep is important, because when you're sleep deprived and you're already anxious about what's happening, it just makes it that much more scary. So get good sleep, eat as well as you can, as healthy as you can, but drink lots and lots of water. Exercise. Exercise is very important. When you're sad, and when you're feeling hurt, and you're not talking about those things with someone, you need a physical outlet for that anger. Even when you are talking about it, you still need a physical outlet for that anger. So I took up weightlifting. I took up yoga. Yoga is really great. So in order to keep ourselves safe during this time and to keep ourselves healthy, physically and emotionally healthy during this time, so you have to decide what it is you're going to put your focus, your attention on. And right now, I put my attention on keeping myself calm.